bruh, bruh, bruh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get after it. Let's neither dilly nor dally, because it is Steam Winter Sale 2024, and this is the under $5 video. We've got a ton of games to get through, and so let's get after it. Before we do, real quick, the games featured here are games that I consider to be a good deal based on all-time lows, and also all the games are based on things that I have personal experience with. So if your favorite game is not on here, sorry, apologies, it's not a personal attack, or at least it's not intended to be one. All right, let's get after it. Assault Android Cactus. Kind of a silly name, but this is a really, really good twin sticky shooter with bullet hellish type of levels. And so it's, yeah, very cool. Very fun, pretty darned hard, not gonna lie. Very difficult, but a really cool twin stick shooter if you like twin stick shooters. And yeah, this one is one of the more interesting twin sticky shooters that's come out in recent years. So a good one. Oh, I gotta make sure to tell you the price. Jeez. Yeah, 75% off, $4.99. Oh, and don't mind when Obey the Fist doesn't like games at this price point. He has various other criteria that he goes by. He's very important when we get to the extreme budget games, and you'll see if you follow all these videos. Today we're doing under $5, tomorrow it's under $3, the day after that it is under $1, and in that price point, Obey the Fist, my friend who doesn't like a lot of the games I recommend, very important. Okay, Baldur's Gate, and indeed all of this era of Wizards of the Coast D&D type games. Yeah, don't show us cutscenes, show us gameplay. There you go. Yeah, these are old school RPGs, but they are some of the best old school RPGs. So you've got, I believe they're all the same price. $4.99 on the Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition. Is there a bundle? Yes, indeed, there is a bundle, and I am not eligible for it because I already have it. I hate it when I can't see the price of the bundle. But yeah, anyway, let's go back, because we also have, in addition to the Baldur's Gate 1 at 75% off, $4.99, we also have the Baldur's Gate 2. These are the enhanced editions, so they have been updated to play perfectly on your modern PC. And so you get to enjoy these classic RPGing adventures on your modern PC just the way that they appeared, well, pretty much just the way that they appeared back in the day. 75% off, $4.99 on the Baldur's Gate 2. The Banner Saga. Now, this is a beautiful, beautiful RPG series, tactical, strategy-based RPG series, turn-based, tactical, strategy RPG with beautiful artwork, and that dude always reminds me of Keanu Reeves. Hold up, let me take it back. Come on, and Keanu Reeves. Come on, is that not John Wick? Anyway, but the cool thing about this game is that choices really matter. It's got this great Don Bluth art style, and the choices matter a ton, because if someone dies, the story just carries on without them. And so I'd say it all the time. First time I played this, I let someone die in the tutorial because I was goofing around, and then I had to go back and start over because I was like, oh crap, I don't want to play without that person. Anyway, it's 80% off, $4.99. You can get a 4-pack and play with friends, but what you're really going to eventually want is all of the Banner Saga trilogy, which each of the games are $4.99, and so the trilogy is priced accordingly. But yeah, get the first one, play it, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, I do want the other games in this epic saga. Anyway, Battle Chef Brigade. This is such a cute, fun game. Yeah, the main character, she's got them cute anime girl vibes, and she moves like a cute anime girl in the game, and it's very charming and fun. This game is combination RPG, hack and slash, beat 'em up type of thing, and match 3 for the cooking segments, because you're trying to become a great chef. It just has multiple gameplay styles that all blend together perfectly and are really cool and fun to play together. It's unlike so many other games. It's just not a lot like this out there, and it's a very cool game. It is 80% off at $3.99. Battlezone 98 Redux, this one might just be for me, because I always loved the original Battlezone, and this is the updated version of Battlezone, and so you're, rolling around Mars in hover tanks. I don't remember if it's Mars. It just feels like Mars. Anyway, but yeah, it brings all of the action of the classic Battlezone, but without vector graphics, and I know vector graphics, so endearing, but honestly, I have a Vectrex without a vector graphics monitor. Vector graphics are not the same. So this is a very fun game. If you like the original Battlezone, it'll bring you all the feels. It is 85% off at $374. Anyway, Bioshock Remastered. Yeah, Bioshock. Oh, I love it when classic games don't even have video. They're like, you're gonna buy it. We don't need to make a video. Anyway, yeah, classic Art Deco looking world, but also post-apocalyptic, steampunkish, very cool world building in this game. Oh, terrifying. Yeah, and very cool and great story. It is 75% off at $4.99. Black Mesa. See, this is why Valve is cool, because when fans were like, hey, we want to remake Half-Life and make it modern and awesome. And so they did. They made Half-Life 1, basically, with a lot of the same sounds, and it plays very similar to the original, but there are a lot of, just quality of life updates. Because, Half-Life 1 came out, it invented a lot of the things that became standard in this type of game, but there have been a lot of things invented since then, and the Crowbar Collective, yeah, they made this game, and because Valve is cool, they're like, oh, you did something cool with our thing? You can sell it on our platform for real money, which is awesome. So we should all applaud not just this game specifically, but this approach to gaming. Can you imagine if everybody was like, oh, and by the way, if you want to do really cool things with our intellectual properties, guess what? You can, because Valve is cool like that, and I think it's fantastic. It's 75% off at $4.99. It's a classic remade in the coolest way. Blade Assault. Blade Assault is a classic side-scrolling hack and slashy beat 'em up that gets pretty frantic and crazy. It's pretty fun. It's not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but there is a lot of fun to be had here. And it takes place in a cyberpunk type world, which is kind of fun in and of itself. And so, yeah, a lot of interesting characters and fun gameplay in a really good beat 'em up hack and slashy type package. Oh, that's right, and it's roguelike. I forget to mention such things. Anyway, it's 80% off at $3.59. Blasphemous. Oh my goodness. Blasphemous is a Metroidvania and a Souls-like, meaning that it is stupid difficult. That's what Souls-like means as far as I've been able to interpret it. I know, people have their opinions, but whatever. It's a very difficult game. There's no getting around that, but it is a really cool Metroidvania. So think Hollow Knight mixed with Dead Cells, and you're kind of in the realm with all this like really cool early Christian type of iconography, which is, it's really fascinating. Honestly, I really find this game interesting. It is very fun and very cool and very difficult. It is 80% off at $4.99. Blossom Tales: The Sleeping King. Oh yes, Blossom Tales: The Sleeping King is very much Zelda-like. It will remind you of Zelda. They even make references to it. And it's this funny thing where it's Grandpa telling the story to the kids, and then you're playing the game, and then Grandpa kind of narrates here and there as you are playing. And if you ever die, the kids are like, Grandpa, that's not how the story goes. And so there's fun elements like that. And the puzzles in this game get fiendishly difficult. You will have to break out a notebook and like take some notes for real. So if you're not down for that, you might not enjoy it as much. I think it's fantastically well made and have had a lot of fun with it. I'm super close to beating it. I need to beat it over this break. Anyway, Blossom Tale, did I tell you how much it was? I don't think I did. I'm not doing a good job right now. 75% off at $3.74. Oh boy, buckle in, because, Steam Winter Sale is a marathon, not a sprint. Caladrius Blaze, or as the characters in the game pronounce it, Caladrius Blaze. This is a vertical shooter, a bullet hell style vertical shooter, in which you play as Anime Girl, and the fan service thing in this game is that if your ship gets shot up, somehow your girl's clothes start falling off. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There's no, total nudity or anything. Maybe there's a patch. I don't know. I've never looked for it. But, yeah, as you shoot up your also Anime Girl opponents, their clothes start falling off as well. So it's got that fan service. But more than anything, can you show us the shooting? I've been saying that this is a shooter. We have not seen shoot one from this thing. Come on, show me that you are a shooter. Oh, my God. Sometimes it's like games. Do you even want to sell yourselves? But yes, bullet hell type shooter where, girls' clothes are falling off, and that's about as nude as anyone gets, So that's about as fan servicey as it's going to be. It is 80% off at $3.99, and a really good bullet hell shooter, fan service notwithstanding. Cat Goes Fishing. Here is one of the ultimate in just super chill, laid back, casual type gaming that you can also take super seriously, because you can play this game, in addition to just chilling and just catching a few fish. You can also get very serious about catching those big fish that are way down deep and whatnot. And yeah, cool game mechanics that are easy to learn, difficult to master, and you can put hours and hours and hours into this game, or you can play it as a pick 'em up, put 'em down, casual type of I don't know what to play, I'll play this for 20 minutes, kind of a deal. And it's fun no matter how you approach it. I really like this game. It is 33% off at $4.68. Cat Quest and Cat Quest 2. Oh my goodness. Cat Quest is it's an action RPG that is just so well made. It kind of strips back the action RPG experience to exactly what you need and none of the stuff that you don't. It's got just enough loot. Not too much loot, but just enough. And it's got decent enemy variety, not too much, because it's all pattern based. It's all based on you making attacks at the right time, because you have to learn your enemy's pattern and not get hit. It's a very cool concept that is super well executed, and the game is just absolutely adorable. It is so cute. And the same is true. This one is 75% off at $3.24, and Cat Quest 2 is very much the same, only this one adds multiplayer. And so, yeah, because you go into the land of the dogs, and all of a sudden cats and dogs playing together. Oh, there's the Catpital. There are so many terrible cat and dog-based puns in these games. Just stupid numbers of cat and or dog-based puns. But despite it all, it is excellent, excellent action RPGing that is just cute as all get out. And reasonably difficult. It's not a pushover, but it's also not torturously difficult. It is fun to play and a reasonable enough challenge. It is 75% off at $3.74. There's also that Cat Quest 3, but that just came out and it's not very discounted, so we're going to leave that one alone for now. Also, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know what's in it. Child of Light. Child of Light is it's an RPG that it's kind of hard to describe. I mean, it's turn-based combat, and it's this beautiful watercolor style world. But more than that, it's a journey of exploration, of self-exploration, and of learning to be okay with death. That's the underlying theme of the game. And so it's actually really cool. And if you've lost someone that you care about anytime recently, you'll be playing this and crying. It's really, really awesome and super well made and really interesting and a great story. 70% off at $4.99 or $4.49. Sorry, I know how to say numbers. I'm an English teacher. English teachers know all about numbers. Oh, Code of Princess, you fan servicey silly goose. This game is a hack and slashy RPG type adventure, and it is fan service out the yin yang. Yeah, this girl, the princess, she just doesn't, she's not about wearing lots of clothes. That's not her lane. That's not what she does. And so, yeah, there are other characters that you could play as well. But yeah, ultimately there's just a lot of fan service here. Really, really cool game underneath it all. And yeah, a lot of, interesting ways to build up your character over time in an RPG-ish way. But it is like action hack and slash type good times with, as I said, ton of fan service. It is 75% off at $374. Darkest Dungeon. Oh, the divisive game that so many people love so much, and so many people are like, oh my god, this game. The reason that the people who don't like it is because the RNG in this game might kill you at any point. It is fiendishly difficult. This game is a roguelike in which you are delving down into the deepest, darkest dungeon, and you have to watch your character's sanity as you go. As they become afraid, as they will go insane. It just grinds on them, and every door you open might be your last. You might open the door to a TPK at any point, and that drives some people crazy, and other people are like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I love it. I do. I'm part of that camp. So do your research on this one. Know if you're going to be the sort of person who's going to enjoy it. But if you are the sort of person who's going to enjoy it, you're going to really, really enjoy this one. It is 85% off at $374. Darksiders. Yeah, this is a series that I feel like we've all forgotten about. It is basically Hell on Earth kind of a deal. And so there's a lot of like, you're a big buff Warhammerish knight, and you're fighting all kinds of demons and whatnot, but it's happening like, this is not post-apocalyptic, it's just straight up apocalyptic. This is the apocalypse happening to the modern world at the present time, and it's such a cool concept. It's so well done. Very, very cool series. I feel very underrated at this point because not a lot of people remember it or talk about it, and it's 75% off, $4.99. A very cool concept and a very cool game. I like it. Disgaea. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you like strategy RPGs, well, this is quite possibly the greatest, tactical RPGs. This is quite possibly the greatest tactical RPG of all time. It is. It really is. So you are the heir to the underworld, and while you're asleep for 1,000 years, someone takes over your domain, and so you wake up and you're like, oh crap, we got to take back the underworld. And so you do this, you get to build your own minions and whatnot. And yes, those pixels are incredibly sexy. Thank you for pointing that out. But anyway, the strategy of this game is very, very high. Yes, and the character customization is insane. There are so many things that you can do in this game. Oh, printies. Yeah, it is an experience. This is, yeah, truly one of the great RPG franchises ever, and it needs to get more love. Not a lot of people love the tactical RPGs, but this is one that, even if you don't love tactical RPGs, you might be able to get into this one because it's so very well done. It is 80% off at $3.99, and so is Disgaea 2, which I didn't put on this list, but I believe it is the exact same price. So it's a good one. Divinity, Original Sin. Divinity is a franchise that goes back all the way to the Baldur's Gate days. And it was, at that time, kind of a second or third banana to the Baldur's Gate world. And it's funny that this thing has just kept going. And now this is the sort of Diablo-ish, I don't know, kind of more Dungeon Siege-ish type of iteration. It's a big, interesting RPG in a cool world, and it's really well done, and it kind of flies under the radar, honestly, because there are other entries in this series that are better known and more beloved. Anyway, this one is 90% off at $3.99 and certainly worth a look. if you enjoy this kind of game. Donut County. Oh my goodness. This is basically a reverse Katamari Damacy. So instead of like rolling around a ball and gathering all the garbage that way, you are moving this hole around and gathering everything, making everything fall into the hole. There's a whole like cute story behind it. This raccoon that you see in the bottom right hand corner is the cause of very, very much nonsense and mayhem. It's hilarious. It's a short game, but it's one that you don't mind replaying just because it's a very satisfying mechanic. It's not hardcore intense by any stretch of the imagination, but it is very, very fun. And so, yeah, Donut County, I recommend it. You should play it. It's a lot more casual than a lot of games, but it's a vibe. It's a feel. It's very fun. It's 70% off at $3.89. Enter the Gungeon. Yes, an action roguelike that is bullet hellish and exceptionally difficult, but very, very cool. Yes, in a world of guns and lots of guns and even more guns and bullets going all over the place, this is a crazy game. Very fun, very funny, very, very well done. Pretty hard as far as these type of games go. So yeah, decent challenge to it. But because it's a roguelike, no two playthroughs are going to be the same. And so yeah, it's a fun, hours and hours of fun in this one. 70% off at $4.49. Ooh, is Exit the Gungeon? I don't know if I have Exit the Gungeon. It's also 75% off, $2.49. So there you go. I don't know. Some people don't like this one as much. I haven't played it yet, so I can't tell you about Exit the Gungeon. Evoland and Evoland 2. We're going to highlight these because these are fantastic RPGs that are also love letters to every era of RPG games that there has ever been. And so the game evolves as you play it. You start off in like monochrome Game Boy type graphics, and then eventually go to NES type graphics, and then eventually to SNES graphics, and on up through the years of RPGs. And there are a ton of really fun and interesting references to all sorts of different RPGs, and the game just keeps, as the name suggests, keeps evolving as you play it. And it's built into the storyline that it does that. It's really cool. 75% off at $4.99. For the Legendary Edition, this gives you the base game and all the, it's $2.49 if you don't want the Legendary Edition, so that's a little bit cheaper. And Evoland 2, this is just the base game of this, is 75% off at $4.99. And this just continues that trend of an evolving game that turns into more complex, more graphically interesting, I guess. Well, graphically involved, we'll say it that way. Because 16-bit, 8-bit, still interesting graphically. And they did, it might help if I, made this big enough for you to see. Anyway, but yeah, it's very much the same concept continued. And it's, another beautiful game, 75% off at $4.99. So if you love RPGs, then you're going to enjoy this love letter to RPGs. Fallout New Vegas. Oh, I'm excited for this one because this is the one that I get to play next. Everybody's been telling me about this game because they've been telling me just ditch Fallout 3. You need to play New Vegas or 4. Those are the ones that everybody tells me I need to play. So I'm very excited to see what this is like because I do love me a Fallout game. And so, yeah, it's going to be very fun and interesting. This is 50% off at $4.99. And like I say, everyone tells me this is the best one. It might be. I still have to find that out. Now, Final Fantasy VII has a bajillion, they are a higher definition of low polygon than you were getting before. The only real difference is that the cutscenes are still rendered in that terrible, terrible frame rate and look that you get on the PS1 that is the classic experience. And so this is as close to the classic Final Fantasy VII experience as you're going to get. And I know some people are like, no, we needed to update it. But like, I don't know. I like the original. This one's 60% off at $4.79. And my guess is that my friend here is like, boo, why are you re-releasing this game so many times? And this version, boo, is what he says. But I actually like this version. And it's cool that you can get it. Did I say the price? 60% off at $4.79. Indeed. For the King. For the King is a turn-based strategy RPG that takes place on a hexagonal grid, and so it is very, very much like tabletop RPGing, and that is welcome and fun. I like it. I like a good tabletop RPG, and this one brings all of the joys of that with its own cool graphical style. It's a fun, cool game. It is 80% off at $3.99. Grim Fandango Remastered. Oh, I wonder, there are probably other games like Day of the Tentacle. Is that one also on sale? I didn't check. But Grim Fandango is a point-and-click adventure from the classic era of point-and-click adventures. And this one is very much beloved for its crazy sense of humor. And yeah, it's a really great game. It is perhaps the best point-and-click adventure ever made. It's up there. If it's not the best, it is up there with the best. Anyway, it's 75% off at $3.74. Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2. So Guacamelee is, I suggest the Super Turbo Championship Edition seems to be the best edition of the first game, because there are multiple different editions of it. This one seems to have the most DLC. But anyway, it's this cool thing where you're a luchador and there's an underworld and an overworld, and you are flipping back and forth between both worlds in a Metroidvania that is cool Mexican luchador styled, and it's got a ton of cool combos, very, very fun combo-based beat-em-up system, and with light world, dark world switching, and it's a Metroidvania. And it's hilarious and super fun, and not enough people know and love this game. You should know and love this game. It's awesome. 75% off at $3.74. And the Guacamelee 2, which is like Guacamelee 1, but even more so. Oh yes, even more so. Yeah, Juan, he's back. And yeah, he gets to have an all-new adventure back in this world of switching between light and dark, beating up massive bosses in crazy boss battles. It's a very fun game, and it's 75% off at $4.99. So Guacamelee 1 and 2, I recommend them. I just reviewed this one. This is a very, very cool game that basically recreates the early days of the internet. There's a whole story behind it, and yes, it is not exactly the same as the original internet, but it is a vibe. More than it is a game, this is a vibe, and if you are from the early internet, if you enjoy the early internet, well then this is for you. So yeah, you can have a lot of fun in this. My temptation is to just go into this internet and never come back. It is 76% off at $4.79, and like I say, it's a nostalgia trip. Not everyone is going to love it. I love it. Icewind Dale goes along with those Baldur's Gate games. It is from that same era, and it is another like Forgotten Realms franchise. And there you go. It is one of these old school isometric point and clicky where it's a party-based type RPG from back in the day. And if you like RPGs from back in the day, this is one of the best ones. So it's 75% off at $4.99 for the Icewind Dale. Here's another really, really good RPG. This is one of the Buckle Hat games. So this is, a Diablo-like. There are many games in my collection that are essentially Diablo. This is one of them. And I call these the Buckle Hat games because your protagonist is a dude who has one of them pilgrim hats with the buckle on it. But yeah, I have been told that this Final Cut version has essentially the first and second game. The first and second game are both on sale in their regular editions for $1.49, if I recall correctly. And I believe this one has the full experience with all the things. At least that's what I've been told. It's 90% off at $4.49. La Mulana. La Mulana is a Metroidvania that brings back a classic vibe. When you see it, you're going to be like, ooh, Spelunky. That's what it looks like. Yeah, except it's not a roguelike. It is a Metroidvania. And so, yeah, give me the gameplay. Oh, that is super low res. Thank you for that. Anyway, it is a very cool looking dungeon crawly, Indiana Jones kind of experience. It'll remind you of things like Montezuma's Revenge from back in the day. It is very much that kind of an adventure. It's a really cool game. Very, very fun. And it kind of, I don't know how many people remember this game. It was super much beloved back in the day. I played it on the PS Vita. And when indie games were being released on the PS Vita, this is one of the ones that got a lot of traction at that time, but not so much since then. It's 75% off at $374. Here we go. So many of you said this. Why isn't Mass Effect Legendary Edition on the list? Well, it is under $10, but it's also under $5, which is insane because this is Mass Effect, the original Mass Effect trilogy, remastered in 4K, and it looks incredible. And it's the games that you know and love. Mass Effect is one of the greatest franchises ever. Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite video games of all time. And I don't know what else to tell you about this series. It's just one of the greatest video game series ever, and you should play it. It is quite possibly, Mass Effect 2 might be the greatest Choices Matter game of all time. And yeah, it's RPG-ish, it's experiential, it's, story-rich. It definitely is that. It is just, even looking at these characters, I can hear their voices. They're real to me, Like, this is an experience that I've had many times over, and I love it. And I love this guy is so cool. I love coming back to these games. And so 92% off, under $5. That is an insane deal. So this is a hard recommend. It is like, get on it. If you have not played the Mass Effect games, get on it. Anyway, Moonlighter. Moonlighter is a really, really cool, this is a roguelike adventure in which you run a store. But there's also a dungeon. The Dark Lord has already been vanquished, and so you and a whole bunch of other people are going treasure hunting. And so as you delve deeper and deeper into the dungeon, you're going to come across cool loot, but then you have to decide, do I keep this for myself or do I sell it for the money that I need to keep my store going? And so there's a really cool balance in the game. It's really, really good pixel art. Very, very solid vibe to this game. Very fun to play. It is 80% off at $3.99. Oh, and complete edition is barely over $5. So yeah, you get that Between Dimensions DLC, which I haven't played yet. So I don't know. I don't know if I recommend it. Some DLCs you should get. Some DLCs it's kind of like, That's how I feel about the DLC for Fallout 3. Is I'm like, I've already kind of beat the bad guys. Why are you still sending me out there? Anyway, Mount and Blade Warbands. This is it's what the name suggests. You get to be mounted with your blade and command a warband. Yeah, it's an RPG, and it's also this, the whole Mount and Blade vibe. It brings what Mount and Blade games bring, and this is the first one. Is this the first one? I don't remember. So, but yeah, there are a bunch of Mount and Blade games, and this one is a really cool one. It is 75% off at $4.99. So if you like your, big world cool RPGs, this is big world cool RPG, and you get a horsey. So yeah, 75% off at $4.99. I'm pretty sure that's how they want me to sell the game. It's got horsies. Anyway, Okami. I just bought this one. I already own this on the Switch, but I was like, wow, that they have this on Steam and it's super cheap right now. This is a very, very cool, like, action adventure type of game with this awesome cel-shaded art style. It is a beloved indie title that is has been around for years. Get me to the gameplay. Stop showing me. Oh, come now. Show me actual gameplay, you silly goose. Yes. I think this one will actually show the gameplay, which has this exact art style, which is beautiful and amazing and very fun to play. Okay. There we go. We're starting to see, there we go, what it actually looks like when you are playing it. Yeah. It's an adventure. It's an experience. It is gorgeous. It is fun. And it's cheap now. It's 75% off at $4.99. Overcooked. Oh, Overcooked. This is Monopoly for a new generation, which I'm not saying it's like Monopoly in the sense that you're, acquiring real estate. No, it's like Monopoly in that people yell at each other about this game. This is one to play with family and friends and to see if you can remain family and friends after you're done playing. But yeah, you are playing as little cooks and everyone needs to take their job in the kitchen very seriously, and then the levels get crazy, and pretty soon you're doing it on 2 trucks passing each other on the highway, and you're doing it inside an active volcano, and it just gets frantic and crazy, and you can have a lot of fun with this game. Make sure that you are playing it with people who aren't going to yell at you too bad if you don't do it exactly right the first time. It is 80% off at $3.39. Owlboy. Owlboy is, so I feel like there were 3 real Metroidvanias that came out all around the same time, and one of them was Hollow Knight, and that won out big time, and everybody loves it, and rightfully so. It's a great game. I recommend it. But then there was Axiom Verge and Owlboy, which kind of won 2nd and 3rd place in the big runoff of the big Metroidvanias. But, like, it's not like it wasn't close. This game is deserving of a place in that conversation because it's exceptionally well made and it has a lot of cool gameplay mechanics that you just don't see in other games, as I'm sure you've seen if you've been looking at this footage. And so if you like Metroidvanias, if you like great pixel art, if you like good stories and good games, 75% off at $4.99 is the Owlboy. And very, very cool. Pikuniku. Pikuniku is a silly goose. It is a kind of a puzzler, but also kind of an experiential game. You play as Homestar Runner. Just kidding. But an equally red, equally doesn't have arms kind of guy. And the thing is that it's kind of awkward, The beauty of this game is that it's kind of awkward, and it knows that and is okay with that. And so you kind of move around awkwardly and do a lot of interesting stuff. There are lots of puzzles to solve, lots of experiences to be had in this crazy little world. And it's a fun, interesting little game. There's nothing else really like it. It's 75% off at $3.24. Here we go. This is the last of these. If you've been going like, ugh, when is he going to stop talking about Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and Planescape Torment? Yeah, this is the last of these that I'm going to show you. They're all the same price. They are all classic D&D based RPGs from back in the day that have been enhanced graphically and, yeah, enhanced edition. Made to look a little better, cleaned up, made to run on your modern PC. It is 75% off at $4.99. Regions of Ruin. This is a cool game where it combines exploration and kind of settlement building. So in order to build up your settlement, you need to go out and, hack and slash and conquer. But also to keep your settlement going, you need to hack and slash and conquer. And so there's a lot of, building up fortifications and whatnot, and then also taking the battle to the enemy. And so it's a good balance between being the lord of the land and taking care of your people, and also being a wandering knight who, you know, goes out and kicks booty with your little battle axe and whatnot. It's a really cool, really well balanced game, and it's 70% off at $359. Shadowrun returns, and indeed it does. This is the return of the classic cyberpunk RPG experience. And so, yeah, if you like cyberpunk, if you like turn-based RPG action, well, this is one of the most beloved franchises in that entire world of gaming. And yeah, this is a very, very well done remake. If I remember correctly, I believe this is a remake of the original game. I could be wrong. I need to spend more time with them so that I can tell you definitively that that is true. But in any case, it's really, really cool turn-based strategy RPGing in a cool cyberpunk world. And it's really one of the most beloved franchises. There are other games in this series. There's also Shadowrun Hong Kong. There's also Dragonfall, and those are also on sale. This is the first one that I would grab if you are looking to get into this series. 75% off at $374. Shotgun Farmers. Shotgun Farmers is it's like if TF2 was even sillier, and TF2 is plenty silly. I got this game for my son, who, like, he plays plenty of TF2, and it is one of his favorite games. And I got this for my son on the recommendation of a friend who was like, oh, cool game where all of your missed shots turn into crops, and those crops become your guns. You know, you got carrot bazookas and pea shooters and, you know, all kinds of, tomato bazookas or whatever. It's all kinds of different guns that are crops. And so it's basically TF2, but with, you know, plant-based weapons. So it's a silly goose of a game, but very fun and very cool. It's 60% off at $3.99. I feel like I'm using the same adjectives again and again and again. Apologies for that, for those of you sticking it out this long into this video. Slime Rancher is a family favorite, meaning that everyone in my family has played it except for me. I've got to get off my duff at some point. But it's a very cool game where it's exploration and crafting and building. And yeah, you're building your ranch, but you're also exploring and picking up new different kinds of slimes and then using them to help you build up your slime ranch. And so, yeah, as you go along, it just gets bigger and better, and you can do more stuff with it. And yeah, it's a really cool game and very, very cool. And I said it's a cool game again. I keep saying everything is cool because it is. There's nothing not cool on my list. It's 75% off at $4.99 is the Slime Rancher. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I remember when this game was just a lot more expensive. And so the fact that a relatively recent, highly regarded Star Wars game is this inexpensive. I know the Battlefront games are also in this price point. I have not spent time with them. This one I also need to play, but I have friends who have played it and recommended it to me and tell me that it is very, very fun and very cool. You know, big open world Star Wars, do Jedi things, and yeah, cool experience, lots of lore, all the stuff that you want in a Star Wars game. 90% off at $3.99. Streets of Rogue. Streets of Rogue is a roguelike adventure, and it's a silly goose. There are so many power-ups and so many different ways to approach each level, and in many ways you don't know what the other NPCs in the game, are going to do as you are making your way through the missions that you have to do to progress from level to level. And so you might find yourself in a world of trouble if you take the wrong approach. And so it becomes very important to develop skills that you can then use to keep yourself out of trouble or to beef yourself up so that if you do get in trouble, you can take the other guys out. Yeah, and there are all kinds of things like, yes, you can become a giant and just wreck the place, or you can hide under a cardboard box like it's, oh my goodness, Metal Gear. Ooh, man, I was drawing a blank there for a second. I swear I've heard of video games before. Anyway, Streets of Rogue is 80% off at $3.99. It's a very fun little game, a really cool roguelike that you can really pour a lot of time into. Speaking of roguelikes that you can pour some time into, Synthetik Ultimate. I'm a big fan of this one. This is kind of like, I don't want to describe it by, I was about to compare it to Vampire Survivors, but then I think about Vampire Survivors and I'm not even recommending it because I assume you already have it and have already played it and gotten burned out on it. This game is a really cool roguelike where you are building up your robot dude over time and going through level after level of insanity, and over time your weapons just become nuts, and by the end of a level you are just massively OP, and then you go to the next level and kind of start from scratch again. And there's a lot of unlockables, there's a lot to do in the game. It's very, very fun, and yeah, like I say, roguelike, so it's not the same every time. It is different. 75% off, $4.99, and I really, really like this one. I had a lot of fun with it. Tales of Berseria. I'm putting some Tales games in here. These are some JRPGs from one of the most successful and beloved franchises of JRPGs. Yeah, this one's got furries in it. Just kidding, werewolves. But yeah, this is like your classic PS3 era type JRPG, and I feel like PS3 era is just coming into the right age to get nostalgic about. And so yeah, I feel like it's time to start looking at these games again. This one 90% off at $4.99, and Tales of Symphonia and I could be wrong. I'm assuming that these are related. Just not all Tales games are, but I'm assuming that these are the same franchise essentially. Even though the games themselves, like, you don't have to play one to play the other. They stand on their own. This one a little bit older, but still very cool looking. The cutscenes are all very anime, and yeah, JRPG action adventure. 75% off at $4.99. Also, Terraria. This is one that my family loves so much more than I do. I've had my issues with this game that I probably need to get over at some point, but yeah, the number of hours that my family has put into playing this game is absurd and obscene. We bought it cheap on the Steam sale many years ago, and it has paid for itself again and again, many times over. So yeah, it's like 2D Minecraft, but even more so. There's even more to do. There's a ton of boss battles and loot like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, it's a game that my family loves, and a lot of people love. It's 50% off at $4.99. You can get that 4-pack and play it with friends. That's still a pretty good deal. Torchlight 2. The Torchlight games are my favorite Diablo clones ever made. I tell you all the time, I might like them more than I like Diablo itself, which I love Diablo. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, I just poured hours and hours and hours into those games. The same is true of Torchlight. These are excellent action RPGs, and they are, very customizable. There are a ton of mods for them. There's a vibrant modding community. There are achievements for using mods, and yeah, anytime you see red orb, blue orb, you know it's a Diablo clone, essentially. But yeah, these are some of the most beloved Diablo clones, and like I say, I love them very much. Torchlight 2 is 80% off at $3.99. Wait, hold on. Oh, that's right, because the other one is going under $3. Shrine. I feel like I tell people about Shrine all the time. Shrine is a beautiful experience. It is ultimately a puzzle-solving action-adventure game, and you have 3 different characters, and they all have different special abilities. And you will need all of their special abilities to make it through every level. And they all provide something that they can do that the others can't. And so you're going to find yourself just constantly switching back and forth between the 3 characters in order to utilize all of their skill sets in the best way possible and just maximize their ability to help you with every kind of puzzle. And so the Trine games are excellent. It is 78% off at $329. And the other Trine games, I'm just going to search Trine. Yeah, you've got Trine 2 at $439, Trine 3 at $483, Trine 4 at just out of the under 5 at $659. Trine 5 just came out, so it's still kind of expensive. But yeah, this is a can't-lose formula. If you wonder why there are so many Trine games, it's because they created something that they can just keep pushing the boundaries of, and they do. Anyway, West of Loathing is a very, very silly game. And it is this stick figure type of deal that it's also turn-based RPG in the Old West. So turn-based RPG with guns and stuff. And it is so silly, so funny, such a great, great sense of humor in this game, and so very, very fun to play. And so it's highly recommended that you play this game at some point. 66% off at $373. We are almost there. Wolfenstein: The New Order. A friend of mine told me that for some reason, who knows why, something about shooting lots of Nazis is really fun for him lately. And yeah, this is, another classic entry in the Wolfenstein. I feel like Doom has gotten all the love over the years, and people sleep on Wolfenstein and forget how incredibly cool and incredibly fun it is. And these later Wolfenstein games are definitely worth playing. And so, yeah, if you played your Dooms and whatnot, well, it's time to play the Wolfenstein as well. 75% off at $499. Very cool game. X-Morph Defense. X-Morph Defense is a simple concept in that there's tower defense, and I don't really like tower defense because I hate the concept of just setting up your defenses and then watch the enemy wreck them. And if you win, you barely win. And if you lose, you feel like you had, that it was poor planning. And then you just have to watch your poor planning take place over an extended period of time. Well, this game is not just, dropping turrets and watching them do what they do. You also get to join in on the action. And so you have more to say about what actually happens on the battlefield than you do in a regular tower defense game. And that's just a good idea. It kind of addresses the one thing that people who don't love tower defense games don't love about tower defense games. So I feel like this is the fix that we had all been waiting for in the tower defense genre. It is 80% off at $399. My son really likes this game. Ys Origin. Yes, Ys games are great JRPGs, and I feel like you should probably have some Ys games. Very much like the Final Fantasy VII, this one kind of recaptures the look and feel of the original, with some updates, some updated graphics, but not everything is updated graphically, and so it feels a little bit new and old at the same time. But yeah, it's a good entry into this franchise that has a bajillion games in it, and if you haven't jumped on board yet, it's a good way to jump on board. It's 75% off at $499. Anyway, people, we made it. Yeah, it's been a slog. The under 5 always is. Don't worry, the under 3 is going to be even worse. There are so many games. There are so many games. Anyway, people, I hope you find something that you're going to enjoy. And thank you for being here for this one. The under $3 will drop tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that one. And I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.